Everyone's fighting a war nobody sees. Depression, addiction, loss, trauma. You fought yours, and you won. Right now, someone's in that same fight, looking for a way out. You are their proof it's possible. Welcome to the Life Warrior Podcast.
Elliston, welcome to the Life Warrior Podcast. And remember, this is a very, very serious podcast, so no laughing, no cracking up, no mispronouncing words, So, for everybody out there that doesn't know, been down this road for about a little over 2 years. This is something that is now really prominent in the world, having to do with AI, and not the good part, the bad part, where people are using it for sextortion and all kinds of things. And that is where you come in. For anybody out there who doesn't know, this is my daughter. So I've walked this with you and your mom this whole time. So I know the story, but a lot of people out there don't. This is coming from your perspective, a kid's perspective of what it was like, how it felt, and how you got through it. So October of 2023, you come rolling into our room with a panic look on your face and telling us that there's these fake images of you all over Snapchat. Oh, I can't remember. Was it Instagram too?
It was kind of spiraling through Instagram DMs from a couple people, but it was mainly through Snapchat.
Yeah, I just remember Snapchat being the main thing because we had fought with them forever. But So that sense, we'll start from right there. Started that day, October 2023, come rolling into our room. Hey, this is what's happening, right? So let's talk about that week, because it seemed like it lasted. To me, it felt like it lasted for months, but that first week was, until they caught him, was pretty crazy. So talk about that week and what you went through, and then we'll talk about the rest.
Well, it all began that Monday morning. It was October 2nd, 2023. I was a freshman in high school. I was 14. I was on the volleyball team, so I had so many things going on. I had biology, and I had so many tests coming up, and that's really the only thing I was worried about. And then that morning, I woke up at 6:15 in the morning. I had to go to volleyball practice, and there was a text from one of my best friends, and it was a collage of pictures. One individual picture of her, and then one individual picture of me. Just normal photos from our Instagram that we had taken on vacation, or just like a photo we had posted. And then it was the same photo of her with an AI body on it, practically stripping her clothing off using AI to make a nude body. And then same thing with my photo. So there's two normal pictures and then two explicit images. And I think she made it to send to me to tell me, like, these are going around, and to kind of prove that these are fake. Obviously, I recognize that original picture. I'm on vacation, but to any other person, it looked so real. It was so realistic.
Yeah.
So from there, I just remember crying so hard, and I was so embarrassed. I didn't even want to tell you guys. What am I supposed to do? Y'all have always taught me to not send those pictures. Everything that's posted on social media is on social media. So it's like now something I didn't even do kind of put me out there, and I'm already ruined, it felt like.
So go through the week. And again, this was 1 week that it took to catch him. And it wasn't just one or two. It continued, right? Even he knew people were looking for him, and he would double down, triple down. He had several accounts doing it. And even when he knew they were looking for him, he was still, and then he was making terroristic kind of threats, saying, I'm going to come to school and go out with a bang, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And so that made it worse because you had tests coming up that you had to be at school for. And luckily, it was the school. He actually did it on school grounds one day, and that was on, what day was that? Was that on like
That
a
was
Friday?
the Friday.
Yeah. And that's how they caught him, using the school's Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And he was actually doing it during a lockdown. That was the crazy thing, right? So he's making these threats.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, school goes into lockdown. Come to find out, it had nothing to do
With him.
But the panic, right?
Yeah,
because
the
of the
fear.
threats. So that whole week, you're dealing with the pictures and now that. So that's how it started.
Yeah.
And completely threw a wrench in the year, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have necessarily time. Maybe sometime we'll go through fighting with the school board of Aledo because they didn't do and still haven't done shit.
Yeah.
Haven't even tried. So we'll go into that sometime. But so we're all kind of at odds. Like, what do we do here? And so we start down the road with the school, and they finally catch him. We go through all of that, and now here's the life warrior part, right? So now what do we do? There's no laws, there's no rules that can help. So we feel like we're stuck. And now you have to go through this. And this was over a 2-year time period.
Yeah.
But so talk about from the time they caught him, what your thought process was of, okay, how do I handle this? What am I going to do? Am I going to shut down? Am I going to quit? Am I going to leave the school? Because there are a couple of girls that did, right? Because of it. So talk about your mental process and your thought process of what am I going to do now and how it is affecting you.
Well, that whole week, it was like each day it got worse. And we had gone to the school so many times, just like, I mean, we could do a whole 4-hour podcast about how the lack of reaction from the school, it was terrible. But I mean, it was evident that the school did not care. They showed us that throughout their actions, throughout their communication. We were the least of their priorities. Right. So that was super.
They wanted to hide it.
Yeah, they wanted to hide it. They wanted us to just. They wanted him. They thought that if they took him away, maybe put him in a different classroom, that we wouldn't see him all day, that everything would be great. Yeah. But yet they weren't talking to us. They put him in suspension for a semester, but yet they still wouldn't tell us who he was because he was a minor. Yeah. They still felt like they had an obligation to give him education when they weren't giving us our protection. They weren't giving us security. It's like, it literally felt like we were talking to a blank wall. Yeah. They showed no signs of like respect towards us, honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So just like over and over and over again, it felt like nobody cared, and it still felt like that's all people saw me as. I mean, this was a conversation. These images were still talked about, and they still are talked about. Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like I can't hide from this, and especially when this first happened. I mean, that's all everyone talked about. I mean, even though I have a massive school, word spreads, social media is massive, so everything is just spread around. Yep. So from when he was caught until he was caught, beginning of October, he was taken out of school, and then we fought over and over again to kind of get a little bit of justice. We went through a Title IX investigation. We contacted Snapchat to get the photos down, and yet nothing for months. It was silent. Yep. And then we were told he was going to come back to school. He was going to come back to our classrooms. Yeah. And I'm 100%, maybe not 100, but at least 99% sure that if his parents hadn't taken him out of our school, he would still be in my classrooms. He would still be involved. Yep. There was no sort of like punishment for him. I mean, he got charged with a Class A misdemeanor, but his record will be expunged at 18. It was so pathetic, and it was so discouraging. Yeah. So, I mean, all I wanted to do is hide. I mean, all of the girls at this time, 3 of the girls were touring new schools. I was having conversations with y'all about what are some other options, because I don't want to be here. I mean, I can't even bear to step foot in my classrooms when all people see are these images of me. Yeah. It was so hard on my mental health. I mean, I struggled at school. My grades failed. I missed so much school just out of anxiety. My volleyball, I was a volleyball player, and I felt like I couldn't participate because my mind was never actually focused.
Right.
That was the only thing going through my mind were these photos, my reputation, how I was viewed, because it just kind of diminished my true character. I mean, that's not who I was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was so hard trying to get back into life after this when it felt like everything was rocked.
And we'll have your mom on here in a minute, but she started down that road, right? And we'll talk to her about that, about, you know, pushing for laws and things like that coming, because that's the parent side. But there was a time period where, like you said, you were just kind of out of it a little bit, trying to figure shit out. And then there came a time you had to make a decision. There was a decision to be made. What am I going to do? Am I going to quit and lay down and let this bury me? Or am I going to move forward? And anybody that Googles your name already should know that you chose to move forward. And so other kids out there listening, because we both know kids kill themselves over much less. I've made tons of calls in the fire department for much less. And for me, that was a concern, right? But you decided to do something different. How did you come about that thought process of deciding, hey, I gotta do something?
Well, I mean, my mom's always been one to like stand up for other people. So, I mean, when she began talking about it and people actually kind of listened, I mean, for the first time, we spent months and months and months of getting hit with no sort of communication. And we finally got some sort of recognition. Like we got some sort of reassurance because it felt so discouraging as nobody cared. And yet people are now realizing, oh, this is something serious. I mean, we didn't get a lot of recognition, obviously, in the school, but in our state government, we got a little bit of communication there. And obviously, my mom will go more into detail about that. But when my mom continue reaching out to anyone that really had an inbox, she kept talking. She kept trying to educate people, trying to share our story. People began to actually listen, and that was really encouraging. And I know that my mom would have continued fighting, but I think when my mom first got an opportunity to go up to DC to talk about and write up the Take It Down Act, I think that's kind of when I realized, oh, this is something serious. Like this has potential to change lives. Right. And I almost, I had an epiphany. I mean, this is the moment. It felt like the Lord was giving me an opportunity, and it was directly placed in front of me. And I felt like none of the girls wanted to speak out about it. None of the girls' parents, everyone was so scared. Everyone was so scared. I know my mom was scared, but my mom had strength to do that. And I felt like I could be that voice for my friends. They all supported me, and it felt like I had to do this for them. Yeah. Maybe I can't change our past, but I know I can change somebody else's fate. And I think that's kind of what changed inside, is that I can do this for other people. And I was very hesitant. I mean, talking about this made myself a bigger target. I'm admitting to something that humiliated me, and I was like, do I even want to do that? Right. My mom's already doing a fantastic job. Do I need to? Yeah. But I think how supportive my mom was and how she encouraged me but didn't push me to get involved, it just changed my life. And it felt like every opportunity was perfectly lining up, that it was evident that the Lord was doing it. Like every single thing just lined up.
Austin was the first time you spoke, right?
No, my mom spoke in Austin.
But didn't you speak in Austin too? I
don't know. I think that was with my mom. The first time I spoke was when we went to DC.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I thought
I was too scared to go that one time. Yeah, I know y'all went, but I said I was too scared.
No, I remember that day. She was nervous too, the very first time speaking in front of those people. But so, all right. So you start down this road and you go speak in DC, and it blows up, right? Things blow up. Luckily, and I got to say, Phil King, a lot of these people these politicians that finally stepped in and actually listened and were like, okay, this is a problem. And Ted Cruz, same thing.
Yeah.
You know, none of them had to take it.
Right.
But they thought it was big enough because AI had been in the news. It's all over the place. Elon and the whole thing. And obviously and people out there don't know, but we sat and listening to, you know, guys who are FBI, things like that, who told numerous horrific stories of sextortion and things like that. And so it was awesome that those people picked up the sword and they were going to carry it. But it's still, they needed you to do that. And that first time you spoke in DC, it blew up. And I think, like you said, you realize, all right, there's something that can be done here. And so you started down that path, and it's still going. You're going to the Oprah Winfrey podcast on Tuesday in New York to tell your story. They shot a documentary in our house just not long ago that's going to be in like 44,000 schools around the country. And Time Magazine, you were top 100 most influential Time Magazine. So you got to go to San Francisco and New York. And now you're the face of kids everywhere who have fought through this. And so how does that make you feel that that's you? You're the one who picked it up and carried it, and it's still going.
I mean, it feels surreal. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm just a normal person, but I also feel like there's been a position placed on me that I feel like I have to continue. Like, this isn't, it would be selfish of me not to continue to fight, to continue to spread awareness, to continue to educate people. Because like you had said, people are losing their lives to this. Kids are so alone in this situation. And it's like, why would I not? I mean, we have something here, and it's just, I feel like it's been a crazy journey for sure, but it's surreal, honestly.
Right. Like I said, there was a moment, there was a decision time to be made. Am I going to quit or am I going to move forward? In your head, those really bad times before you made that decision, and maybe this is way too personal, but were there ever thoughts like, because there's lots of kids out there listening and going through it, were there ever thoughts of, I don't want to be here anymore? Those kind of crazy thoughts, did it take you down that path at all?
It 100%.
We never talked about this before.
Yeah. I think it absolutely did. I mean, I'd always have thoughts like, it felt like this was all who I was anymore. Yeah. Like, that's all people talk to me about. People constantly ask questions, and it felt like I was never going to be able to outlive this.
Yeah.
So I remember, I think it was a week or two after, I just remember being so isolated, and like, no matter where I went with my friends, it felt like it followed me. Yeah. Even my escape area with my people, it felt like I was still being monitored. It felt like my life was still like being torn down.
Yeah. And
I just remember being like, I don't have to do this. I don't have to continue living like this.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be here.
Right. And so that's an important thing for kids to hear, that are in this moment, because we know there's a representative out of South Carolina whose son was 17. And I think, and we'll talk about this with your mom, but from the time some of those images, a group had gotten a hold of him, from the time he got the, whatever messages they sent him to the time he killed himself was like, what 20 minutes? Or it was a very short time. And so that's how bad it can get really fast. So it's important. That's why I ask. There's kids out there that don't have that mental resolve, who immediately go down that path. And so if to those kids out there right now, what would you tell them?
I mean, if anyone is dealing with this, if this is happening to someone, I would just emphasize the fact that conversations matter. I mean, if I hadn't admitted to this, I mean, it wasn't my fault by any means, but if I hadn't shared that this happened, I don't think I'd be here. I mean, it is so important to talk about it, because just saying one thing, one person can be that support group for you. Right. One person can be that community for you. It doesn't matter if it's one person or 10 people. It's so important to talk about this, at least tell someone that you're going through this, because from there, they can help you, especially when it comes to filing a report, because the Take It Down Act is now in law. Right. You can prosecute people for doing this. Like, this is a real situation now. Yeah. There's a law protecting people. You can get justice. So you don't have to be alone in this, is really what I'd say.
Yeah. So, because another thing, we talk about Snapchat and where these images were, it took us going to Ted Cruz and actually seeing him in his office say, hey, get me the CEO of Snapchat on the phone right now. Yeah. And this was an 9-month time period that those images worked to get them, begging them to take them down. No, there's nothing we can do. And that's what and so that thought process of knowing, man, these images are still out there. They're going to be there forever.
When I go to college, when I apply for a job.
And all of that, they're going to be there. And him, like you said, his record being expunged when he turns 18, he'll never have to worry about that again. You'll have to carry it forever. But so it took that long to get him calling, going, hey, take him down. And they were taken down in what, 24 hours or something?
They were taken down instantly.
It was really fast. They immediately took him down. Right? So we got that done, and I thought that was a really important step.
Yeah. Because
at least you now knew, okay, those aren't there anymore. There's no guarantee they're not out there on other platforms now. My guess is they probably are, because there's some sick people out there. Yep. But I felt like that was a turning point a little bit, like they're down. Now we can move.
And I think that's also something the Take It Down Act does, is like it's so hard to get legislature passed that has to do with social media. But yet this act has to do with social media, has to do with making or classifying these photos as child pornography. It really secures all of that, and it feels like we had none of that before.
Yeah. So moving forward from that, let's talk about, well, this was really cool. The things that you've gotten to do, right? Because of this. And again, I think this is an important point for kids to see this shit doesn't have to bury you. And there are better days ahead, but you have to be here to see them, right?
Yeah.
And so, man, talk about a little bit of all the things you've gotten to experience because of this terrible thing that happened.
Well, I feel like I don't want to brag.
No, it's not bragging. I mean, these are people asking you and your mom to do these things because y'all had the actual courage to stand up and actually fight instead of sit down. So it's it's awesome. So,
I mean, yeah, it's a blessing. I mean, we've been on Good Morning America, Fox and Friends, CNN. We've been able to go to New York and San Francisco and New York again, and then fixing to go to New York again. Yep. We've been able to just travel so many places, meet so many amazing people. We've been to DC, I think, more times than I can count. I mean, especially we got to meet the President of the United States. I sat next to the First Lady at the 2025 State of the Union.
That was cool, yeah. People don't know that. Like the State of the Union. When I always ask people, hey, did y'all remember State of the Union? That little girl that was sitting next to Melania in her box, that was my daughter. That was her. And so does that bring you, has that helped you? All the great, cool things that have happened that you've gotten to experience, has that helped the process?
I think it absolutely has, but it also, the fact that we've been able to reach so many people is the driving motion of this.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been able to get some sort of laws passed in other countries, which is one of the most remarkable things ever. I mean, the United States, so many people look to the United States for kind of assistance, and AI is not only in the US, it's the entire world. It's evolving so rapidly. So the fact that we have Japan and the United Kingdom, like we have all of these different countries that are implementing laws similar to the Take It Down Act, inspired by the Take It Down Act to protect their citizens and their people is the greatest part of it.
Yeah. So, all right, let's instead of being so serious all the time, all of the things you've gotten to do doing this, what's the coolest thing you've gotten to do? What do you think the coolest thing is?
I think there's two. I think the first one, I think the signing of the Take It Down Act was, it was beautiful.
Where was it?
It was in the Rose Garden.
In the Rose Garden.
Of the White House. It was beautiful. I got to meet Caroline Leavitt. I mean, half of Congress was there. I mean, so many people were there. Yeah. And it was so amazing. It was I think it might have been the first bill, I could be wrong, but it might have been the first bill placed or signed by the president in the Rose Garden ceremony of his new term.
Yeah. Because I think he does it normally in like the Oval Office.
Yeah, in the Oval Office. So that, it was amazing. And then I think the second one was Time 100 Next, which was in New York. That was so much fun. It was so fun. And I got to meet so many crazy people. And I mean, like, at the end of the day, I feel like I have two different personalities. I mean, like, sometimes I can be super professional, but like...
Oh, I agree.
I can be super professional, but I also feel like I'm also just like a teenage girl who loves pop music, and I got to see Tate McRae and like all these crazy people that I am such big fans of. Yeah. So it was really crazy that I had got to be there.
I always tell people you're like Will Ferrell in Old School when he does his speech, right? He goes into this trance and gives all this information and then comes out of it all of a sudden. Like, tell people that's her.
Yeah, seriously.
When the cameras come on and there's stuff to be said, she just goes into a trance and does it. But that's been a cool evolution too. You've gotten really good at doing it. So I would say mine would be just the fact that you got to sit next to Melania.
Yeah.
And how cool she was. She was really
She was so awesome.
Nice to us and friendly. And that was really cool, getting to see that and be part of that. Because it was a testament to not quitting and not giving up. Like, this is where it can carry you.
Yeah.
And so for kids out there, I would say pay attention to that kind of stuff, because even in the worst times, if you quit, you never see what the good things coming are. And there's so many great things that could happen just because you decided to stay and fight a little bit. But it's been really awesome seeing you evolve from it. I always mess with you. I don't, but super freaking proud of you for what you've done. It's been awesome. We've had a lot of fun times, and it's gotten to the point where I don't even remember the worst parts of it.
Yeah.
Because there's been so many better parts. And that one little spot was just a storm.
Yeah.
And my mom always used to say, it's just a storm you're going through. Eventually the storm ends and you come out better on the other side. And I think that's what's happened.
Yeah.
So I always ask people this at the end of the podcast. That's your life warrior story. It's what you went through. It's what you experienced. It's your mindset trying what you did to get out of it. And now you're on the other side, sitting where you are now, talking to other kids who are listening, even adults, because it happens to adults all the time too, who don't know how to get out, don't know how to move forward, what their first steps are. What would be your life warrior advice to any kids or anybody that's experiencing this right now? What would be your main advice?
Well, to everybody, no matter if you're involved or not, it's so important to just learn more and educate yourself because this can happen to anybody. So at least having some background knowledge of what you're dealing with, that can help so much. You at least know and understand kind of what this is, and we're not going into it blindly like we were.
Yeah.
And to people that are dealing with this, it's so important to like not give up.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll always, everything, God works for good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. Everything works out for the better in the end. So just staying strong, not giving up, talking about it, and just knowing that, I mean, this bill is now implemented. You can have protection and security, and it's simple. Just report. Go to your local police department. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Just talk about it. Just really, really, really talk about it.
Yeah. That is an important part because, you know, even though there's a law passed, there's a lot of people, I mean, they don't know. And so they're going through that. And your mom gets calls and stuff from people that it's happening to all the time. And they don't know.
They don't know where to
So
go.
that's an important fact. Like, it's there now.
Yeah.
For all of history. That law is intact to protect adults and kids.
Yeah.
So it's there. And it's important for them to know, like, all you got to do is report it. Now you have a path because you decided to stand up and not quit. Yeah. So super proud of you for it.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to say?
No.
All right. Well, that's odd.
Oh,
You
whatever.
usually have lots to say.
I know. It's nicest he's ever been to me, guys.
So, well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
for doing
me.
this. I'm, again, super proud of you for everything you've done, and it's still ongoing and continuing. And, you know, so I'd encourage everybody out there, kids especially, Google your name, follow it, and watch all the good things that can happen if you just decide to not quit. Yeah. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And I'll see you at home.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
Anna McAdams, my wife, welcome again for the second time to the Life Warrior podcast. And we just heard from our daughter the whole story about what happened with the AI crimes and the things she experienced with the Take It Down Act and all the things she got to see from a kid's perspective and how her mindset of getting through to help other kids get past things like this. And so now we'll switch it. Now we're going to hit it from a parent's perspective because there's parents out there, you get calls all the time about things like this happening to their kids now, and they have no idea what to do or how to handle it or where to go. And you've already been there. You've been down that path and mentally and you know, figuring all of this out, and they have no idea. So that's what we're going to talk about from that perspective, a parent's perspective. So again, here we are, October 2023. She comes rolling into our room, panicked and crying about these images that have come out, and that week fighting, trying to catch him, and what she's going through and all of that. She's fighting with all of that, and you're fighting with, what do I do to help? So let's just start there. What was the first thought? What am I going to do now? What's the first thing I'm going to do?
Well, at first, I had no idea what to do with that. You know, this was something that I never saw coming. And, you know, we've talked many times, you know, you kind of already know ahead of time, kind of how to help your kid just from life experience.
Right.
And then going into this, we'd never experienced anything like this. Yeah. So there wasn't a playbook. There wasn't anything, anybody telling us what to do. So it really was just kind of all I knew to do was to speak about it, talk about it, try to get somebody's attention. And that was frustrating because we couldn't, nobody really wanted to hear. They wanted us to be silent.
Thought, surely the school is going to do something and help us out.
Yeah.
And we found out real quick that wasn't going to happen and still hasn't. So, you know, you and I met at the school with principal and assistant principal and all of those people, and nothing, really nothing. Luckily, they caught him on school grounds doing it, so there was a little something they could do. And we both know that there was more they could do.
Sure.
There was plenty they could have done to get him expelled from school, which they didn't. We know why. It's that Alito High School thing. Let's push it under the rug so we don't get that black eye. And that was frustrating as hell for both of us. And so we went down that path for a short minute, and we realized nothing's going to happen. So what did you do next?
Well, I just started telling people, anybody that would listen. I mean, from local law enforcement, our local reps, and because there was nothing in the law that classified what he did as pornography or child endangerment of any kind, exploitation, there was nothing they could do. I mean, law enforcement was literally at a loss as well and was talking about how they needed some kind of law that would help protect. And so that's in my brain where I kind of went, well, if I can't get anything on the local level, then I think it's time we've got to do something bigger. Yeah. And it's something that's so important because it's happening so much. I just felt like there's got to be somebody out there that'll listen to me.
Right.
So I wasn't going to stop.
And I felt like they were not only hamstrung by maybe the rules, but they were hamstrung by old school thought processes like Photoshop and things like that. That's kind of the way they were viewing it. This wasn't Photoshop. This wasn't something you look at and go, oh, well, that looks fake.
Sure.
These pictures look like if you're just some person out there that sees them, even though they were pictures on her vacation with other friends, and she's 14, knowing they're not doing that at 14 on the beach in Florida or on a cruise ship somewhere. But their thought process was old school thought process. And so you and I both know it was child pornography, without question child pornography. She's 14 years old. There's nude images of her out on Snapchat and everywhere. And so I feel like they were hamstrung by that too, that old school thought process that there's nothing we can do. But so I think was it Phil King who first kind of took up the charge a little bit and, let's do something, because he had grandkids that go to Alito, thank goodness.
Yeah.
What other than that, I don't know if anybody would have picked it up. I think there was, that was a blessing that he had grandkids that went to Alito High School. So start there. Phil King listens, and where did we go from there?
Well, he realized that we needed to have something. Right. So he wanted to start those conversations. What was the problem for us with Texas is that they still didn't meet for another 2 years as far as in the House. And so to pass something was going to be a really long journey. And I think he realized, as well as, we realized that it's changing so rapidly. We've got to get something's got to happen to start protecting these kids because it's happening every single day.
Yeah.
And so he encouraged me to just start having conversations and reaching out to others. And so in doing so, that's when I called and left messages in inboxes and emailed Senator Cruz and was like, I've got to get something at a bigger level, got to get somebody to hear. And luckily he heard.
Yeah. So how, and I don't remember, the process from the time we started with Phil King and going down to Austin to Ted Cruz picking this up. What was I can't remember the time frame.
Yeah. So we started, I got a phone call in December of 2023, and that was from from Phil King. And that really was to just kind of a conversation about it and what needs to happen. So he told me he would be in touch, but to keep that going, it might need to have other people hear the story. And so in April of 2024 is when the first time that Senator Cruz's office reached out and wanted to hear our story and said that he had heard it and that he really felt like it was important. And so the next step was he flew me to D.C. in May to talk about the bill. What would we want in the bill? What would the verbiage need to be? And then to help me, we also needed it to be bipartisan. It needed to be something that we couldn't fight over. This is about kids' rights and their protections. Right. And so I went from office to office trying to get support for the bill. We needed it to be both sides. Senator Amy Klobuchar was the Democratic rival to Senator Cruz that helped us pass this to get it passed. Right. So it was super important to have that as well. So,
yeah, and again, that was December of 2023, and we start down that path. And okay, cool, we're making progress now. People are hearing. Luckily, like you said, like we talked about with Ellis, was the images are still out there. We're still fighting this, and the images are still there. Snapchat won't take them down. They said there's nothing they can do, all of that stuff that they always do. And, thankfully, Ted Cruz stepped in and was like, no, let's make a phone call. Let's get them off. And they were off real quick. I don't remember what the time frame was. Again, we talked about that with Ellis. Was it somewhere 24 hours or?
Yeah, less than
24 hours, they were all gone. And so, okay, now we're moving. We feel like we're moving. Something's happening. And we get this law, the act. They put all that down, and now, okay, it's got to go and be passed through. Didn't make it the first time. And so describe that. Let's talk about that a little bit and what your mindset was like. Because that's a little bit of a defeat. We're like, man, we thought this was going to roll right through. And how that made you feel about, man, that, okay, we had to take a step back now.
Yeah, it was discouraging in the beginning. We had so much traction. I mean, from the time that the bill was drafted and we made that first press conference where Elliston spoke for the first time. And then, like you discussed with her, she kind of got her voice and she was ready to go. I mean, it was media, weekly, daily, going into it. And so then in the fall, it passed the Senate and needed to go to the House, and it didn't pass. And that was still under the Biden administration. That last little bit, that last push, and it didn't go through. It was very discouraging. But again, we had only been pushing the bill since June of that year.
Yeah.
So we weren't totally discouraged, but it was sad. We wanted it to pass just because we wanted it so quickly. Right. But we realized, what needed to happen. And then the blessing in that not happening was that the First Lady heard our story, and it fits so perfectly in with her Be Best initiative that she picked it up and was like, I'm going to help you get this through. And so in doing so, just opened the door for more people to hear our story. Elliston got to go and do a roundtable with her, and she's so lovely and cares so much about kids. And it really brought so much more to the table having her behind the bill.
Yeah. So since we're talking about a parent's perspective, and honestly, it was a short period. I mean, it was a short period of time that you started making phone calls compared to most things that happen in the government that take forever. And so it was a short period of time that all that kind of took place, but still months. I mean, we're not talking about weeks. We're talking about months here. And I watched it all happen. And so as a parent, your mindset of, again, like I talked about with Ellis, am I going to quit? Where do I stop? What is too much? What was your mindset? Like, where was your mindset in all of that? Where am I going to go? How far am I going to push this, and why?
I think for me, it was so important to get protections for her, for other kids, that like I couldn't stop. It wasn't an option. So, once I started getting traction and people listening, and then the bill being drafted, and it was just like it was fuel to my fire. Yeah. It was like, I'm not going to stop until we have a law. And if it isn't the Take It Down law, then we're going to find something, because it is happening so much. And when you start hearing their stories, other than, not just Elliston's story, but, Gavin's, you talked about that from South Carolina. When you start hearing those stories, you realize the tragedy of it. And AI is something that's not going away. No. It's only increasing daily. And so it's like, it was just it had to happen. Yeah. And so if not, in the first round, it's going to happen at some point. So it was like, I'm not going to give up to protect my child.
Right. And I really don't know how to say that, but it wasn't just her that this happened to. It was a group of her friends that this happened to. And, everybody's got to make a choice, a decision on how they handle it. And, there were parents that they didn't want to know part of it. The thought process of not ruining that poor kid's life because of a terrible decision he made. I don't understand that mindset. You don't understand that mindset. But, there are parents out there listening right now. Like you said, you get calls all the time about things like this. So from a parent's perspective, what would you say to those parents who are wavering on the fence? What should I do? Should I move forward or should I not?
Well, I would say that we are the protectors of our kids. There's nobody that's going to stand up for your child more than you. And so I know that not all parents wanted to take up this fight, and we were okay to do it. Yeah. But if we hadn't done it, if we not worked for that, we wouldn't have this law now. Yeah. And so I think for me, so many times in my life, I felt like my voice has been silenced. Yep. And, you and I have talked about that many times. And people haven't listened to me for one thing or another. And this was something that was so important, and is so important moving forward, that I wasn't going to stop. I'm not going to stop protecting my child. And parents have to realize they're the first line of defense. Okay. And so I would tell all parents to stand up, to do something for your child. Make noise. The squeaky wheel gets the attention. And I've said that throughout. And I just feel like you can't give up. You've got to be willing to be loud and to take a stand for your kid.
Yeah. And I think it's important in this story. People don't, Elliston, she's gotten a lot of press and a lot of attention for her voice and pushing forward. And I'm super proud of that. She could have chosen another path, but it's important. I think it's important for people to understand that it was you by yourself, alone, doing this on your own, for a good portion of it. And the power that one person has, a parent has, making a life warrior decision of going, I'm not fucking quitting. This is not an option. I'm going to be that person who never stops and never stops pushing until yes is the answer. And so I think it's important for parents to hear that it was the parent that took up the fight. It was the parent that pushed. It was the parent that didn't take no for an answer. And I don't think that's been pushed enough in any of y'all been all over. Y'all been in every major news network in the country, in the UK, Australia, Japan, Germany, all over the world. And I don't think that's been pushed enough, that parents out there need to hear that no is not a fucking option when it comes to your kids. And so I've told you that before. I'm super proud of you for doing that and pushing. But so let's rewind a little bit. Now we're in it, right? Things are moving in Austin. And I think this is the funny part, right? So new term, President Trump, he comes in. Melania takes up the fight to with Ted Cruz and Klobuchar and all of them. And it goes back to the Senate again and gets passed through 100%, right? And I think at the time they said it was like one of the fastest bills to be passed like that with 100%.
Well, to become law.
And so it was funny. You remember this when she was talking about how she was happy about that it didn't get passed the first time and the reason. But it got passed through, and we go to the House and all of that, right? So you're still pushing. And now we're going to the House, and great things happen. It gets passed, but the fight still isn't over, right? So you continue down that path, and now you're doing other things, right? So Elliston talked about it, gets passed, it's into law. Now there's a law on the books for all of history, because of you and Elliston not taking no for an answer. You get to go to the Rose Garden. You've gotten to meet, we met Tom Homan, we met all of them, and how great they treated us. But now you're doing other things, right? So because AI is still huge, what are some of the other things you're involved with now?
Sure.
That are trying to help?
Well, and you brag about me, but I couldn't have done all this without you, and your support in all of this as well, and unwavering support. So thank you. So we got a law, but it's not over. And for us, it doesn't end there. So now we've got a tool to be able to punish and also force big tech to take down those images within 48 hours. But if people don't understand what it is, they're not going to use the law.
Talk about the law for a second.
Yeah.
Tell what it is.
So it makes what happened to Elliston a felony, when that was super important to us. And part of the problem with what happened to Elliston was the kid who did it was also a minor. So he was even more protected than just somebody who was over the age who did this. Right. So we kept running into him being protected, with his probation and all of that. And so for us, it was so important that there be some kind of consequence for what happened. So it makes it a felony, up to 3 years in jail. And that felony does not go away. So it will not be expunged when he turned 18. Right. But then the other part of that was that it forces big tech to take down the images within 48 hours. And so they have that amount of time. Once you report it, they have the 48 hours to try to take it down. So there shouldn't be anybody out there with their images out there for 9 months fighting with Snapchat. And we even had a warrant, and we still got no response from Snapchat.
Yeah, it had to be a state senator to actually make a call on your behalf.
Right. To get it
and
to
like
happen.
you talked about, even Ted Cruz said this. If you're Taylor Swift or somebody else, you'll get it done.
Yeah.
But a regular people who it's happening to way more, almost impossible until now.
Yeah.
And so, so now it's a felony. This is so parents need to hear that. If you're a parent out there and you got a kid going through it, it's the take it down law. It's no longer an act, it's a law. And you have grounds to stand on now. And so you got that done. But again, there's other things you're doing. So again, go into a little bit of that. What else you're working on now?
Yeah, so because I'm getting calls still on a weekly basis from this happening and parents not knowing what to do with it, one of the things that we've realized is that there has to be educational tools put in place. So we've been working with a company called Adaptive and another company called Pathos, and together we've partnered with them to make a curriculum that can go in any school across the country, and it targets faculty, staff, kids, parents can use it, and it's free. It's completely free. You can go and download it on Adaptive AI on their website, but it is training, and it tells you what to do when it happens, what to do to prevent it. If it does happen, all the resources that you need our law, other laws that are out there now, other organizations like RAIN and NCMEC that can come and can help with just the mental side of everything. And so for now, our push is really to try to get out this educational tool to everybody across the country. And so we're working with the First Lady's office, trying to get their support in this as well, because this also fits into her Be Best. But we've got to get the word out there so that people understand what this is. So what sextortion is, what AI sexual crime is, just what abuse is, exploitation, all of it. And so we've continued to fight that fight to try to make that happen. And so now we have a tool that launched in January. So we're continuing to push that as well. And then I'm also trying to work on an app where it would be a facial recognition app that would, be able to tell if this kid's still doing it. If I put Elliston's face into this app, it will run anything that's going. It will know. It'll be able to notify law enforcement of what happened, and then also they'll be able to report it to Big Tech for us, and then they can monitor that with the FTC to see if Big Tech is going by the law and keeping getting those images down within 48 hours.
Right. Having the law is one thing.
Enforcing
People
it is
following
another.
it is completely different.
Yeah.
Now, again, for parents out there, and this is why I think the more of these podcasts you can do, the better, because it gets the word out to people. Because even though y'all were all over the news, you were, all over every major news network, you've been in D.C. and New York and still doing things constantly, there's people who don't hear, they don't know. And so that's why I think it's important for more people to hear, like, there is a path. It's no longer a dead end road for you, and you have a place to go because of the Take It Down law, and all of these extra tools that you're working on. And it's huge. And to the fact where, tell people a little bit about, the UK, of what just recently happened with you and somebody reaching out to you from Parliament in the UK.
Yeah, so they reached out. So they're looking at the Take It Down Act and wanting to do something to pass there. I mean, again, we realize this is a worldwide, pandemic, if you want to call it.
Right.
I mean, AI is just changing the way we do everything for the good, but then also for the bad. And so they used our bill to draft and to make their own Take It Down. And so we're seeing that in other countries now, where they're using our verbiage and how we did that to enact laws in their own countries to protect kids.
Yeah.
So very exciting stuff.
Yeah. And like I said, it's been a really crazy journey that, like you said, if you would have wavered and gone on the other side of the fence, none of this would have ever been a thing. People would still be trying to figure out how to protect their kids, and, people would be getting off scot-free, for doing it. And again, it's the same thing as always. It seems like right now the victim is the one that's prosecuted for stuff, and it's always the person who does it who gets the protection. And that's what we figured. That kid, man, they were all about trying to make sure he was okay. He was getting educated, and he was, getting everything he needed, and nothing for Elliston, who was still having to fight through this. And so now here we are again. Y'all are going to the Oprah Winfrey podcast on Tuesday. Another huge opportunity to get the word out. I asked Elliston, I asked everybody this. Life warrior advice. What would be to any parent out there, to any kid, any adult out there that's walking through this right now, from the time we started till now, what would be your life warrior advice for people out there listening right now?
It would be just not to give up, to remember that you have a voice and to use it, not be afraid. And especially don't be afraid if somebody says no to you or shuts you down. Just go to the next person. Yeah. Never, ever give up your voice. And so I would say, fight for your kid. Be that squeaky wheel that we talked about. Just don't give up. and listen. That's another key point, is for parents to listen to your kid. If Elliston hadn't come to us that day and felt comfortable enough to talk to us about it, we wouldn't be here either. I hate to think where we might be if she was carrying that burden on her own. But have these conversations and have them early. If it hasn't happened to your child, have the conversation anyway. Let them know what it is. The more educated you are, the more you can handle situations when they arise. And hopefully, instead of being like us, not knowing what to do or where to go when it happened, now there are tools to know what to happen. And more than likely, it will happen because of the way AI is growing and the tools that our kids have, and the way that they can, they're online. That's how they communicate more so than we were ever. Talking on the phone, you don't do that. Not even with a cell phone. Yeah. It's on these apps, and so they have to be educated. And so parents, get educated and then have those conversations with your kids.
Yeah, because we have a close friend of ours that just recently, two of their kids in their household happened to two of their kids. And so that makes you realize how often it's happening. And, we listened to, like I said, we talked with Ellis, the law enforcement officers and stuff that are dealing with this, and how overwhelmed they are because of how fast technology is growing, AI, and it's hard for them to keep up. And so it's like you said, it's massive, almost like a pandemic where AI is adapting. And so, man, I've told you this before already, but I'm super fucking proud of you for pushing, not quitting, and being that bulldog that and things happen for a reason. I believe things happen for a reason.
Sure.
And it was you who was chosen because somebody knew that here it is. I know you're going to take this and run with it. And so I'm super proud of you for doing all of that. It's been really cool to watch firsthand. And, me and I always say sometimes that the media did not want me involved in it, really. And I completely understand why, because my thought process is probably completely different. What I wanted to do compared to what y'all did, way better option.
Wow.
And nobody wants to hear that. But I think it was a good thing that, I kind of was in the background watching, because I would not have handled it as gracefully as you did and Elliston did. And so is there anything else you think that's important for people to hear?
Well, like I said earlier, just get educated.
Yeah.
Just have conversations. And I would love for everybody to take our free tool and get it in their schools, get it to their school counselors. Yeah. Parents, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Again, it's about education and not being afraid of AI.
Yeah.
And these.
Say that again, the who you're working with.
Yes. Adaptive AI and Pathos.
Yeah.
So together we partnered with both of them, and you can go on to Adaptive's website, and it's right there. It's a free tool, a curriculum that you can download and go through, and it's super helpful.
Cool. Well, girl.
Thanks, babe.
I'm proud of you, and I can't wait to see, what's coming next, books and all kinds of stuff. And it's, I'm just excited about everything that's coming for y'all. And for Life Warrior too at the same time. So I think we're both kind of in the same mindset. We're, mine's used to help people for a different reason. And so we have that same mindset. And so I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you being here and being part of it, and taking the time to sit down, even though I'm not Oprah Winfrey.
Babe. I'd rather be looking at you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being on the Life Warrior podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I love you.
Today, go do Life Warrior shit. Remember, try to make somebody else's life better. I promise, if you do, yours will get better too. We'll see you next time.